Hello again, honky tonks. I think it was Dick Emery, wasn't it, who used that term in his 1970s comedy show back in the day when comedy was good, clean, wholesome family fun. Comedians didn't seem to feel like they had to swear to get a laugh out of their gags, and it wasn't all left-wing comedy putting down conservatives, right-wing people, and people who are proud to be British. It was a nice, innocent time. How I miss it. Anyway, I digress. I think around 30 illegal migrants drowned either today or yesterday trying to cross the channel to come to Britain, the land of milk and honey. Now, I put blame myself on a few entities, not just the United Kingdom. You see, if you go on Twitter, and Twitter's a huge problem about all this, because you've got accounts like this who are encouraging people to come over here and put their lives and the lives of their children as well, because they'll put their kids in these dinghies to come over here, the land of milk and honey, and they're encouraging them. Twitter have groups that encourage people to go down there to the to Dover, to the beaches, and encourage these people to come over, hide them, and explain to them how to get as much out of the milk and honey this government provides, the benefits, the housing, accommodation, everything. Twitter is part of the problem. Twitter is part of the blame that these people drowned, and many more have drowned, and many more people will continue to drown, because it's just going on and on and on, and the numbers are getting more and more and more. 1,000 of these people are rowing over every day on little dinghies that are not seaworthy across one of the most dangerous waters on earth, because the channel isn't safe. It's 20 odd miles of rough, fast current, and it's a killer. But these people don't seem to care for some reason, because they think it's a risk worth taking to get their hands on benefits, housing, and all of the rest of the free stuff that the British government keeps giving them. And I'm telling you now, folks, it's not just the Tory government who are doing this and being completely and utterly ineffective in turning these people around and discouraging them from coming over. Every government, whoever gets voted in, Lib Dems, Labour, whatever, they will all do nothing because they're scared of being called racists by the hysterical Twitter mob and the mainstream media. The other entity to blame for these people's deaths and the encouraging of them coming over is the French government, because the French authorities have literally just stood there on the beaches of northern France and watched these people climb into their dinghies and row over and done nothing. And yes, I believe that Macron, the little French manlet, is using this as a weapon to beat the Brits with because of Brexit, and he's been encouraged to do so by Brussels, simply because the UK have dared to tell the EU to fuck off and to leave their criminal enterprise, their mafia gang of controlling despots. The EU itself, they can take some of this blame as well, because they don't secure their borders, thanks to the rapist of Europe, Angela Merkel's insane and suicidal open borders, non-paper checking migrant plan of a few years ago, which is still going ahead. Then, of course, they wouldn't be traipsing through those countries and putting their lives at risk by crossing the channel. Of course, Brussels daren't do anything about it because they too don't want to be seen as racists. And of course, you've got the people smugglers, the people who are selling these dinghies to these so-called desperate people. And I say so-called because why on earth don't these people, these refugees, these so-called refugees, why don't they stay at the first safe country they come to? And there's plenty of them in Europe, Eastern Europe, before they even get to Great Britain. And you've got the lefties on social media and mainstream media saying they're fleeing a war-torn country that isn't their fault. Well, the last time I checked, neither France nor the rest of Europe is war-torn. They do get help, and they don't get sent back. And yes, these criminals who are selling these dinghies, and these dinghies go for 20-odd thousand euros, by the way. And if you're a so-called refugee fleeing a war-torn country with nothing and it's not your fault, where the hell are you getting your hands on 20,000 euros? That's a big question someone's got to ask and someone needs to answer. Because I'm telling you now, the average British worker, the working class man, woman, or mess tin or sausage or anal beads, whatever the hell you identify as now, they've got more money than you somehow, and you bust your arse off to work hard, to keep a roof over your head and food on the table for yourself and your loved ones. Yet people can come here illegally and get all that for free. That's why the British public are pissed off about this. The climate change is the last thing on normal people's minds. It's these people. Like my poll showed in my community section, 80% of people who answered that poll said it's an invasion. 1,000 people a day, folks. And that number is climbing. But the biggest blame for these people drowning in these little unseaworthy vessels are themselves. It's their choice. They don't have to leave their war-torn countries. And it's mostly males, young adult males, who are leaving anyway and coming over in these dinghies. Why the hell are they leaving their wives and children behind? They can't build their own country after decades of war. They need help from the men. And if you leave your family, your wife and children behind in a war-torn country, then you're a bag of shit, aren't you? You're a cowardly bag of shit. So if you're deciding to come over here, if you decide to leave your war-torn country, if you decide to cross open borders, cross many safe countries, put your life and the lives of your family, your children at risk by putting them into unseaworthy little vessels to cross one of the most dangerous sea waters in the world, the Channel, it's your fault. If you drown, it's your fault. If your family drown, it's your fault. It's on you. Yes, you're human beings. Yes, you want to make a better life for yourselves. But no, you're not fucking stupid. If you put your life and your family's life at risk in a little dinghy to cross the Channel, then you're fucking stupid. Yes, it's a tragedy what happened. People have drowned. But I will not be made to feel guilty, and neither should anyone else. Because if you ask me, it's social media, the hysterical lefty mob, the mainstream media, and the government. Those are three entities that should take a bit of the blame for this. No one else. Well, apart from those people who decided to put their lives on the line and cross the English Channel. They did this themselves. They chose that. It was their choice. And that's it. They drowned. And that's that. Consequences, folks. Consequences of their actions. Everyone has it. And they need to understand this. And also, I have noticed there's a pattern here. Because whenever these people do something or something happens to them, it's never their fault. The mainstream media and Twitter especially will blame someone else. When a Muslim radical extremist decides to become a suicide bomber or cause an atrocity and murder several people, it's not their fault. They had a mental illness, remember? When they decide to go into a dangerous vessel, an unseaworthy vessel, to row across 20 miles of the Channel, choppy, fast currents, it's not their fault. They're desperate. It's the United Kingdom's fault because we're all heartless. It just seems to me that a certain demographic isn't allowed to understand that there are consequences to actions here. Because if Westminster won't stop them and turn them back, if our border force and the Royal National Lifeboat Institution are insisting on being a taxi service to bring them over, that's not stopping them, then the English Channel will. And like I said, it's a shame that people died, but it's a consequence. It's a consequence of choice. And it's a choice these people have made, no one else. And it's important, I think, to note that the majority of people who voted for Brexit to leave the EU did so in order to seal our sovereign borders. And our borders aren't being sealed. 1,000 people a day are breaching those borders, and it's not right. The government are doing nothing about it. That's what I think about this issue. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments. And if you wish to support my channel, because my channel's been demonetized, yet YouTube and Google have decided to put ads on my work and profit from it. And I think that's wrong. That's why I've done this buy me a beer thing. So if you wish to support me and actively support free speech and give a finger in the face of YouTube and Google, then please feel free to buy me a beer. Right, that's it. That's my video. Please comment, share, subscribe. And until the next one, Roger Trout.